Welcome everybody, my name is Christian and today we're going to go over the Star Wars Armada Wave 3 announcement that just happened. This is the one that was announced on March 16th. There could be additional ones, but for now we're just going to talk about the two ships that have been announced, the Imperial Assault Carriers and Rebel Transports. From those that watched my Wave 3 and Beyond prediction videos, I actually recommended bringing in the Rebel transport ships. So I'm glad to see, not that I'm humble enough to know that I didn't influence that since it's so obvious, but I'm glad to show that at least some of my prediction skills are right on target. I was thinking of a little bit of a different mechanism, but I really like having two small ships, like having them count as one but acknowledge that these things are really tiny compared to the rest of the ships. So the new flotilla type seems pretty interesting. These things are very weak. One shield all the way around for both of them. Very limited firing arc, usually just one blue dice. And some of the sides, maybe not even all of them. But they both have a evade and a scatter token. The first non-squadron ship to ever have a scatter. And it should be noted that in the whole Rebel fleet, there's only one A-Wing hero that even has a scatter. So it's a big deal to have these Rebel transports have a scatter. Now, since they're so weak and they only have one shield and they only shoot one blue dice and maybe a second one, why even have these things around? Well, one, they're very cheap activations. They haven't said exactly what their point cost is going to be, but they said they're going to be closer to the squadrons. So I suspect that since a Corvette is 39 points, a Corvette B, I would imagine these are probably like 20, maybe 25, but it's probably going to be 20 points. And so for that 20 points, giving yourself the activation advantage could be worth it, in particular the other things that they can be assigned to. So these flotillas, they're a little bit different because when you ram into another vessel, it takes damage, but not the ship that you're ramming into. This is a kind of a preemptive counter to, I'm sure, what some of the Rebel players would do for their strategy of just have a whole bunch of Rebel transport ships and just have them knock into the Star Destroyer until it's destroyed over and over again.
Well, you did suggest that as a strategy in your suggestions
That's
video.
true. I did recommend that as a strategy. They haven't announced all the cards that are going to come with it, so I suspect that there is going to be an upgrade card that does allow them to do damage, or ideally to even do a self-destruct. However, even if they don't introduce that ability to it, there are some interesting cards on there. One of them, for a relatively expensive but very useful upgrade card, will be for 8 points, the Bomber Command Center. While a friendly squadron with Bomber is at distance 1 through 5 and attacking a ship, it may re-roll 1 die. That is really useful. That is particularly useful if you think about X-Wings and how they're the only bombers that have a red die. Red die which do have blanks and do have accuracies, neither of which help you when you're doing a bomber attack against a ship. So this upgrade, depending on what ships you could put it on, in range 1 to 5, that's pretty flexible. It could really boost the power of having X-Wing bombers again. Now, of course, the Y-Wings and the B-Wings and all the other bombers are also going to benefit from this too, but they already had a black dice, which had a 75% chance of getting at least one hit. Now, if you're going to be a gambler and you need 2 hits to bring it down, or you really want that critical effect, maybe you would even have it re-roll even if you get that hit, but that's definitely the gambler's choice. Another one that's interesting, and this is kind of a universal upgrade that's kind of similar to the Tantive 4 or the Leia card, is the Comsnet, which is allowed that after you reveal command dial, you get to remove one command token from this ship and to assign a matching token to another friendly ship at distance 1 through 5. Very similar to the Rebel card that's on the Corvette, Tanteen 4. So this will be something that will probably be used by Imperial players, maybe a little bit more, but it could just be a way to token farm as well. Repair crews. Now this is going to be very important to both Rebels and Imperials alike. For only 4 points. 4 points. Instead of engineering points, you may disregard one damage card from one friendly ship at distance 1 through 2. And note that it doesn't say how many engineering points you need to have. And it just has the engineering command. It doesn't even need to be the command dial. It could just be an engineering token. So you could do an engineering command during the very first turn, and whenever you need a ship repaired, just go ahead and remove that token, and bam, your ship has that critical that was going to do some serious damage from it removed. For 4 points, this is an amazing card, but will probably make that flotilla a target, especially if it's hanging around some really important ships. So even though it has a scatter and evade, you definitely will want to put this thing behind a larger ship, so that way, even if a shot is taken at it, it's obstructed, as well as being able to use its evade and other commands. But for 4 points, this is going to be a very well used card. There's also some cards that are in the pictures that are a little bit hidden that you can read if you look into it a little bit closer. One of them is a Rebel Officer, which is while a friendly ship or squadron distance 1 through 3 is attacking, it may re-roll 1 blue dice. This is pretty important because it's a ship or a squadron. So imagine putting that officer on home 1 and being able to change a blank red into an accuracy, as well as re-rolling any blue dice on any friendly ships. Unfortunately, it has to be a different friendly ship, rather than just the one itself, but that's pretty useful, especially when you're having those squadron battles and you want to take out those TIE fighters. One Imperial officer is Agent Kalis, who is from Star Wars Rebels. While attacking a unique squadron, add 1 die of any color to your attack pool. This is particularly useful because if you have a raider that's rolling 2 blacks, or black and a blue, you can go ahead and add another blue or add another black. So you can really do some serious damage. And it's also while attacking unique squadrons, so this will also count when you're doing counters if you have the quad laser turrets. So this card could be pretty useful to take out a Han Solo or a soon-to-be-announced Star Wars Rebels Ghost Squadron to be added, which I'm sure is going to be coming, if not later in this wave, but in wave 4. So overall, I'm happy with this. I know there's plenty of other ships we would all like to see, including the ones that I have in my other video, like the Liberty class Montgomery cruiser and the Interdictor Star Destroyer for the Empire in particular. But this is a interesting change of tactics. I'm sure there's going to be additional upgrade cards, and it's going to really add some flexibility to your fleet builds. Before, people were adding raiders even if they didn't even really want them all that much, just so they didn't feel left out with only 1 or 2 activations. Now you're going to be able to throw these things in as a support role. I mean, it's going to be devastating to have these assault carriers with repair crews just at speed 1 behind a Star Destroyer, just taking away any damage that you add to it. I mean, it's going to be really devastating. What's interesting about both of these ships is that they both have a squadron value of 2, which is pretty notable because both the Raider and the CR-90 Corvette, they only have a squadron value of 1. So these are actually plausible squadron activators, and being able to fly in with them, giving them rerolls, maybe giving them some other kind of buffs. It's going to be pretty interesting. But you got to remember, these things are fragile, and with only 3 hull, they could get wiped out pretty easily. So obstruction is going to be their friends. So that's all for the update for now. Hopefully there'll be some more news about what other upgrades we can see in this. It's going to be released in the third quarter of this year, so we don't have to wait that many months. And since it's just 2 ships and they waited this long to announce it, I actually suspect that they may actually keep this deadline, unlike what they did with Wave 2 and the long delay. So that's all, and good luck gaming, and I'll keep you updated with any other Star Wars Armada news. Thank you. Bye.